Jefferson County Council. It's one way for me to give back to the community that I've worked in for all these years. My background is in commercial real estate. Before I worked for shelter insurance companies, I worked for the May department stores in their real estate division and specifically handling their property tax. And before that, I worked in the county assessor's office. I was a commercial appraiser, business personal property representative. And I started from the ground up. I worked part-time as a mapping assistant and worked part-time through Jefferson College, got my associate's degree. Then I ended up working full-time while I was going to Washington University part-time and eventually attained my degree in economics from WashU. And that's something I'm proud of. It's something I worked hard for. I like to think that I'm educationally qualified for the position. I look at some of the other folks and they just don't have the commercial background or the real estate background or the tax background. My degree's in economics, and I've spent a lot of time buying and selling real estate. My wife and I own a small real estate investment company. And with that company, we've had warehouses, mini storage, office, retail, a couple of government office buildings. So we have a broad range of real estate that's been in our portfolio. And I think some of those experiences are going to help be pro-business here in the 5th District. And we still have that small town feel, whether it's Pevely, Herculaneum, Festus, or Crystal City. I've been immersed in the community for all these years, and it's time that I finally give back some. My daughters are all going to be away at college starting in August. My wife and I are going to be empty nesters. I now have the time. Formally, I was eligible to retire a couple years ago. I think I'm going to put that off and remain with shelter insurance for several more years, but I do have time to give back to the community that I've been working in for all these years. I am very, very much less taxes, smaller government. And I'm definitely an advocate of removing the income taxes in Missouri, but I'm definitely not an advocate of increasing the sales tax on so many different items. In particular, services, whether it's paying sales tax on your insurance, paying sales tax to your barber. I'm anti raising any sales tax any further. As a matter of fact, I'd like to be a proponent to suggest removing certain sales taxes in Jefferson County and in Missouri, in particular on groceries, in particular on baby products, in particular permanently on school products. So there's a lot that we could cut back on when it comes to taxes. Folks say, well, if you take it from one place, how are you going to replace it? Well, we're going to adjust budgets. And something I feel really strongly about is adjusting the Jefferson County budget. Start from ground zero, completely revamp the budget. Look for any fat that can be removed. And that's something from day one, I'd like to start working on the budget. And I realize it's a stacked portfolio discussion. It's something that I'd like to go through and become intimately familiar with. As a county council person, it's something I'd like to be extremely knowledgeable on. I'll rely on the county executive to give it to us in a format that we can review it. But I really want to spend time on budget and see if there's some way we can cut the fat from Jefferson County budget. Something else that I have an interest in is capital improvements. If you dig deep enough, there is federal funding for rural counties. And I realize we're considered somewhat St. Louis, but we might be able to fit in a category where we may be able to get some federal funding. If you look at our courts building, it's going on 150 years old. It's extremely outdated. You can't get around the building easily. The flooring is confusing. You have the basement, the ground floor, the first floor, and the second floor. It's just extremely antiquated and outdated. Recently had an opportunity to review the sheriff's jail building. Frankly, I always consider that the new jail. And after touring it, it is a complete teardown. There's lots of structural problems with it. It was never meant to be added on to quite how it was. It literally is a teardown and a redo. And we would have to likely do that at a different site and start over. So infrastructure is something that's important to me, but my proposal is do it with very, very minimal taxes. Look for the federal funding, look for state funding. Start charging fees. If you're a detainee at the Jefferson County Jail, potentially there's some fees that could help cover some of those expenses. Pass that on to detainees. I spent a little bit of time with it, and I have a daughter that's worked in Josh Hawley's office. She's done research for us as well. She's my pre-law student that's getting ready to start at University of Kentucky in August. she's just as excited about some of the capital improvement ideas that I have as I am. Something that's very, very important to me is not to divide. And if you're talking to John Lee, my objective is to bring different parties together. I know in today's environment, there's a lot of dissent, there's a lot of friction, a lot of animosity. That's something that I've been successful in, is bringing different groups together. And I don't divide. If you have a strong opinion about the data center, I'll listen closely. You may or may not know my exact opinion on which location I think is the best or which one may not be the best, but I'll do everything in my power to bring the different parties together. In particular, the anti-data center group had some requests that if a data center came to Jefferson County, these objectives are some of the things we'd like to be met. We gave a list of 8 to the city, and they eventually passed it on to the county. And we ended up getting 5 of the 8 passed in the city and the county of the objectives that the anti-data center presented. So that, I consider that a win. When we can bring both parties together. There's been a lot of contention about the port. I've spent time going to the meetings. I haven't missed a port meeting since, again, late last year. I don't see anything heinous or anything criminal going on at Jefferson County ports. I've taken the time to go visit each of the port locations. There's not a whole lot to it, but there isn't clearly a functioning port. There's the county-owned barges or the port-owned barge. They have means to load and unload the barges that are bringing products in. The real estate's there. There's tractor trailers there waiting to be loaded. I think, folks, if you look at some of the numbers on the tons that are being delivered on a per month basis, it's not a stagnant property. There's lots going on, and I can see where it could be a big opportunity for Jefferson County to grow. Interesting factoid, the Platten Rock Boat Club also falls in District 5. I've had an opportunity to join the boat club, and I've spent as much time as I can on the Mississippi here in recent months just to become more and more familiar with it. And again, my way of becoming more ingrained in the community, understanding what the community may or may not need from the Mississippi River. And it's something that's important to me. It's something I think that's going to be very, very important to District 5.